can read next. Yeah, you can read next.
Yes, I'm reading.
Right.
But the but the most intimate character of the psychic is its pressure towards the divine through a sacred love, joy, and oneness. It is the divine love that it seeks most. It is the love of the divine that is its spur, its goal, its star of truth, shining over the luminous cave of the nascent or the still obscure cradle of the newborn Godhead within us. In the first long stage of its growth and immature existence, it has leaned on earthly love, affection, tenderness, goodwill, compassion, benevolence, on all beauty and gentleness and fineness, and light and strength and courage, on all that can help to refine and purify the grossness and commonness of human nature. But it knows how mixed are these human movements at their best and at their worst, how fallen and stamped with the mark of ego and self deceptive, sentimental falsehood, and the lower self profiting by the imitation of a soul movement. At once emerging, it is ready and eager to break all the old ties and imperfect emotional activities and replace them by a greater spiritual truth of love and oneness. It may still admit the human forms and movements, but on condition that they are turned towards the one alone. It accepts only the ties that are helpful, the heart's reverence for the Guru, the union of the God seekers, a spiritual compassion for the ignorant human and animal world and its peoples, the joy and happiness and satisfaction of beauty that comes from the perception of the divine everywhere. It plunges the nature inward towards its meeting with the immanent divine in the heart's secret center. And while that call is there, no reproach of egoism, no mere outward summons of altruism or duty or philanthropy or service will deceive or divert it from its sacred longing and its obedience to the attraction of the divinity within it. It lifts the being towards a transcendent ecstasy and is ready to shed all the downward pull of the world from its wings in its uprising to reach the one highest. But it calls down also this transcendent love and beatitude to deliver and transform this world of hatred and strife and division and darkness and jarring ignorance. It opens to a universal divine love, a vast compassion, an intense and immense will for the good of all, for the embrace of the world mother, enveloping or gathering to her children. The divine passion that has plunged into the night for the redemption of the world from the universal ignorance. It is not attracted or misled by mental imitations or any vital misuse of these great, deep seated truths of existence. It exposes them with its detecting search ray and calls down the entire truth of divine love to heal these malformations, to deliver mental, vital, physical love from their insufficiencies or their perversions, and reveal to them their abounding share of the intimacy and the oneness and the ascending ecstasy and the descending rapture.
Who was someone was speaking? Anyway, so beautiful paragraph describing absolutely the psychic emergence. There can be no better explanation than this paragraph that we have just read. Okay. So we go back and look at each thing carefully and what is the characteristic of the character of the psychic emergence. When it comes, what happens? And he has used beautiful images also, we'll see that. But the most intimate character of the psychic is its pressure towards the divine. And how does that pressure build up? A sacred love. The love is not a human love, it's a sacred love. It is shorn of all imperfections and all egoism. Love at our human level is very often it's a compromise, it's a commerce, it's a business. You give and you want also a human love. But this love you are only giving, it's pure and absolutely without demand, divine through the sacred love, joy, and oneness. So, just see, it is sacred, it is love and joy and oneness. it is a divine love that it seeks most. It is the love of the divine that is its spur. It is that which pushes you towards the goal. Its goal, its star of truth, shining over the luminous cave of the nascent or the still obscure cradle of the newborn Godhead within us. So this is the that's why newborn Godhead. So that's why they say Dvija. One who has had this type of experience is a Dvija, born twice. The twice born. Even in English we have the phrase, the twice born. Because you have an ordinary life and then you have a special re-emergence and all your values get changed entirely. Also here in this phrase, there is a very interesting image that he has given of the Christ. Okay, the Christ was born in an obscure cradle. And what was that cradle? The luminous cave of the nascent or the still obscure cradle of the newborn Godhead within us. The story is, I think it is symbolic clearly. And it's very similar to also Krishna's birth. Okay, so we'll just see that. Christ is born they are from a poor family. The father was a carpenter. Okay, and he is born in a manger. A manger is a wooden vessel or whatever stone vessel in which grass and straw is put for the cattle to eat. Okay, so he is born there. Okay, there were no hospitals in those days, so he is born there in the cradle. What is the symbol? Very clear. The divine has come down into the humblest, and the humblest means absolutely the darkest, is the smallest and humblest and most insignificant part of the world. Higher you go, the more it becomes less insignificant and starts becoming more and more light, more and more joy. But here in the physical world, it is the humblest that you can have. This is the image of the divine involving himself in matter. And it's very interesting because in Krishna's life also you have the same image. Okay, where is Krishna born? He is born in a prison. So the divine comes down and hides himself in a prison of the body-mind life. Not only prison, but what is the hour? It is the midnight. It's the darkest hour. Then not only that, outside there's a storm raging. What is the storm symbol of? All the difficulties of the physical world, all the obstructions. So this is what the divine has done. He has involved himself in matter and it's a prison house and he has to escape from there and it is midnight, the darkest that you can have, and also all the troubles of the physical world. So this is so similar to the Christian, it's not a myth. They say it's a record. Okay, he was really born there. But what is interesting is that it is symbolic, and here also in India we have such a similar symbol. Okay, so and there's another very interesting thing. Note the word Christ. It becomes with a K and R, and here in India we have Krishna also. So these are not by chance. These are all definitely there is some link. Okay, in fact it is said that Christ for a few years there was no trace of him, and they say that he came to India. Okay, it's possible, it may be we don't know, but it's very interesting that one is called Christ and the other is called Krishna. Also note that there is a sa sound also in it, Christ, and here also we have Krishna. Okay, so it's very interesting. Three common letters, Ka, Ra and Sha. It can't be a coincidence. There must be a link. Okay, so this is what, and when the psyche comes forward, everything becomes beautiful. You are full of love, you are full of joy, and you start seeing beauty everywhere. He will tell you that a little later. Okay, beauty also is there. So, in the first long stage of its growth and immature existence, it has leaned on earthly love. Okay, now my image also has come. I'm very late. I don't know why, what is happening. I'll have to find out. I'll have to call somebody. Anyway, so in the first long stage of its growth and immature existence, it has leaned on earthly love, affection. Okay. Earthly love, human love. Affection. Affection is very mild love. Okay. tenderness, goodwill, compassion, benevolence, on all beauty and gentleness and fineness and light and strength and courage. So all these are qualities of the sattvic man. Okay. Tenderness, goodwill, compassion. There is no harshness in a sattvic man. Okay. Benevolence, all beauty and gentleness and fineness and light and strength and courage. All these psychic can give you on all that can help to refine and purify the grossness and commonness of human nature. So it does this. But it knows how mixed are these human movements. It starts from the human movement but purifies them. It knows how mixed are these human movements, even at their best and at their worst, how fallen and stamped with the mark of ego and self-deceptive sentimental falsehood. When we are deceiving ourselves, very rarely do we come to know that we are deceiving ourselves. We justify whatever we have, but self-deception is a very, very common thing. And when you start doing yoga, you realize, you get surprised actually at how the capacity of the vital to deceive you. Okay? That's the funny part. Okay? It becomes very interesting how you deceive yourself. Okay? So it is self-deceptive sentimental falsehood, and the lower self profiting by the imitation of a soul movement. The lower self, the body-mind life, cannot really distinguish between a real psychic movement and just a plain joy. Sometimes you may feel a joy, okay, but it may have the wrong cause. So, but you think that it is psychic. It is not. Okay, that's what it says. Profiting by the imitation of a soul movement. At once emerging, it is ready and eager to break all the old ties, okay, all the attachments that is there, is fully prepared to give up all attachments and imperfect emotional activities and replace them by great spiritual truth of love and oneness. It may still admit the human forms and movements. Now that's interesting because when the psychic comes forward, it can admit the human forms and movements which the Jnana Yoga, the path of the ascetic, does not do. It does not admit. It throws away all human forms and movements. These are all unnecessary. So there is a great difference between the psychic when it comes forward, there is a bhakti path. And the other one is the Jnana Yoga path, which they reject these human forms and movements. Okay. But on condition that they are turned towards the one alone. It accepts the ties, only the ties that are helpful. The heart's and the mind's reverence for the Guru, the union with the God seekers, your sadhak brothers and sisters, whoever are there, you have a sympathy with them and you do mix with them. A spiritual compassion for this ignorant human and animal world and its peoples. The joy and happiness and satisfaction of beauty. Now see, he has brought in beauty also. So the psychic influence on man gives you these three things always. There is a joy, a deep joy. It's not just pleasure, it's a deep joy, very deep. And happiness, very calm, quiet happiness. And you start seeing beauty also everywhere. The beauty of nature, the beauty of flowers, everything starts opening up to you, which may have been there or may not have been there. If it was there, it becomes even more intense. If it is not there, it starts. You see the beauty of animals, the beauty of trees, the beauty of nature, the beauty of flowers, all this. The beauty of character in human beings, that also you start recognizing. The joy and happiness and satisfaction of beauty that comes from the perception of the divine everywhere. But here also, there are grades. Sometimes the psychic, if it comes out fully, you will see the divine everywhere. But if it is not fully coming out, you will feel a presence everywhere. You may not see the divine, but you will feel a presence. Everything seems to be vibrating with the divine aura. Okay, that's what happens. Okay. The divine everywhere. It plunges the nature inward towards its meeting with the immanent divine. The immanent divine, so that's interesting now. Note, the immanent divine is not necessarily the psychic being. There is a divine who is there, transcendental, outside the universe. And so when they use the word, the divine in himself. When he uses the word in himself, he means the transcendent, not in the universe. Okay? Contrast. So in himself means the transcendent. Then you see the divine in the cosmos. In every form, you see his presence there, everywhere, all over. But he is also there in the individual. Okay? So the immanent divine is the Gita's description, 65th verse, 65, verse 65 in the last chapter, 18th chapter. Okay. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddeshe tishati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. So that is the divine. So the psychic is the individual divine element in you, and in the beginning it is sleeping. But the divine pure and absolute is also there in you. So we should not get confused between the two. Very clearly he is saying that it plunges. Which is the it? The psychic being. It plunges the nature inwards towards the meeting with the immanent divine. So therefore there are two. There is the psychic being and the immanent divine also. Okay? The divine presence in everything, in human beings also. So that's what it means. In the heart's secret center. And while that call is there, no reproach of egoism, no mere outward summons of altruism or duty or philanthropy or service will deceive or divert it from its sacred longing and its obedience to the attraction of the divinity within it. When the psychic is active, you will hardly ever make a mistake of consciousness. And even if you do, because the vitality also is there, it is accepting human forms. So when the vital makes a mistake, immediately there is a correction. Okay? Like mother says in French, she says, en reçoit un tape sur le nez. You are immediately aware that what you are doing is wrong. Okay? It gives you a small awakening touch. It pleasures. So that's what he's saying. So we'll see afterwards he's using many verbs to describe the action of the. I have highlighted all those in my text and we'll read that later on after we finish the paragraph. Then from his sacred longing. Yes, tell me.
The immanent divine the soul.
No, I didn't follow your question.
The immanent divine is soul in us.
No, okay. No, not the soul. In Srimdos, you can use the word in that sense, but the immanent divine is the divine, pure, and in everything. His divine presence is there even in a stone. That is the Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hriddeshe. So there is, the divine is there everywhere in you, but he is not openly visible. Okay, he is sleeping. Okay, but the psychic being is the individual divine. That is different because to each one is different. But the immanent divine is the same for everybody. There is no difference. He is the same. But the psychic being is different for everybody. It has a swabhava, which is quite different for each one. Everybody's psychic being is different and they are individual. Okay, so remember, there is the transcendent, there is the cosmic, and there is the individual divine. So the individual divine, these things are not very easy to understand because surely when the divine is there within you and your psychic being is there, there's a connection between the two. There's no doubt about it. Okay? But the psychic being is different. When the psychic comes forward also, you may not be conscious of the immanent divine. It's going outwards and you have love, beauty and joy and refinement and absolutely subtle refinement. But you may not be aware of the divine within yourself. So that is the divine, immanent divine. Yeah. Tell me. Yeah.
Then is this immanent divine is the Jiva Atman? Or are they different?
No, the Atman is the self.
Yes.
The Atman is the self who is above, doesn't come down. The psychic being comes down into manifestation and With every life it grows. Okay? The psychic being is the soul which is sleeping in the beginning but wakes up. So the psychic
So
and the
the,
soul, the relation is like the seed and the tree. Okay?
so the immanent divine is not the self, not the Jivatman.
No, the
The
Jivatman
immanent,
is the self above. It never
okay,
manifests.
so not,
Yeah.
okay, not the immanent divine.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
The Jivatman is the self, the Nirvanic experience, the Brahman consciousness. Pure, infinite, immutable, silent, without act and action, absolutely immobile and no action at all. Peace, calm, infinity. That is the Jivatman, the individual self. Okay? There is an individual self and there is an individual psychic being also. Okay? And the two can join. For some yogis, the two can also come together and join. The psychic being below in the body mind life can rise and join with the self. That is also possible. But there is a difference. The self is up there, the self is not manifested in the physical world. You have to go to meet it, you have to climb up. When you climb up, you meet the self. But he is on the terrace, you are on the ground floor. Okay. But even on the ground floor, the psychic being is available. Okay. But a purification starts taking place. Right. So next sentence. It lifts the being.
Rangada,
Yeah, tell me.
Rangada, there is a universal, there is a capital self, capital S self, and there is an individual self also.
The individual self becomes the universal self. This is the thing that we have to understand. The individual self is definitely there. Okay. The individual self. But when this individual self realizes in a cosmic consciousness, it becomes the universal self. Again, to understand this phenomena, remember my very interesting image of this grain of salt.
Grain
Yeah,
of salt, yes.
yeah, that's right. It becomes,
So
yeah, tell me.
and the immanent divine is different from this self.
That's right. The immanent divine is in the individual, in the form, in the physical world.
In the form, okay.
Yeah, that's right. In a stone, in a caterpillar, in everything is there. The individual, the divine. Okay? The immanent divine is there everywhere. So
Can we say it is the soul? No.
as I said, the soul is a psychic being which is undeveloped.
Okay. So that is again another experience, and this immanent divine is different.
That's right. So there is the immanent divine which is divine, but hiding deep inside you. You can experience it. Then there is a psychic being which is developed soul. The presence in you can be felt. But I think this is immanent divine is fully conscious. You can experience it as fully conscious, I'm sure. So it's quite complicated, no? So that's what you see.
And there is a third concept of Jivatman or the self, right?
Yeah, that's right. The Atman, the Jivatman or the self is the individual self who is there on the higher levels and does not come down into the body-mind life. It is always there, infinite. But you can experience it as individual because, see, it's very interesting. Suppose you are in a consciousness which is infinite, eternal, okay? Who is experiencing? Somebody is experiencing. That somebody is the real individual. That's a self, individual self, which is now feels itself to be everywhere. There's a gradation. Okay. When you speak of Purusha, okay, the Purusha is the individual self. And there also there are gradations. This idea of gradation is very important. You must keep that in mind. Everywhere there is a gradation. At the highest level, purest and best and highest and the most beautiful. As it keeps coming down, all these things become graded towards the bottom, less and less and less and less. This basic idea one has to keep. Okay? These 3-4 basic ideas, if you keep, everything starts becoming clear. One is the gradation. The other is the one at the highest level becomes the many at the lower level. Then the Formless at the higher level becomes the forms in the lower level, and the divine is there everywhere. He goes. Then the static at the highest level, there is total silence. And that total silence becomes total movement in the physical world. There is no static in the physical world. Everything is moving. So these basic ideas, if you remember, then many things become clear.
Rangada, what happens, the basic ideas, we are, I am little clear about the basic ideas, but when it comes to words, no, soul and psychic and this and that, then it becomes totally confusing.
Absolutely, and that is the reason why I pay so much attention to the Sri Aurobindo language. He was not using different words, but when he is using different words also, we must know exactly what he is referring to.
Yeah, so that becomes very difficult to understand. Then you get confused. What is self? What is soul? What is
You'll get confused at the beginning, but as soon as you remember his use of words, you start understanding things. It takes a long time, yeah. Sri Aurobindo text is not easy. Yeah. That's right. Okay, so then I go to the next.
Is there a way to make it easier? Like
no.
art or something?
No, it's not. There's a letter of Sri Aurobindo. Yoga made easy, like French made easy, Tamil made easy. It's not like that. It is automatically and necessarily difficult. But the difficult path can be made easier if the psychic being comes forward. Because what happens is, it's not that the difficulties disappear, but you are taking it in the right spirit. You don't mind the difficulty. You meet it with a sense of challenge and knowing fully that the divine is there with you to help you. So there's a confidence that comes and there's a certitude of victory. All these things come when the psyche comes forward. That's the reason why the Jnana Yoga path is very dry. Okay? There's no love, there's no emotion. But the psychic being, the Bhakti Yoga, is full of, it is succulent, it is full of enjoyment. Okay. So the sufferings that come are taken in your stride. The sufferings don't disappear, but your attitude towards them changes entirely. And not only that, it's very interesting, but the sufferings that come, you start realizing their purpose and their role in life. Okay, there are so many. Very easy to understand. When a difficulty comes and you conquer it, well, you have gained. But if you sit down and start lamenting and saying, oh, there is difficulty there, then it will continue to bother you. But if you meet it headlong and ask for help to conquer it, you will have conquered it. And when you conquer it, you have gained. Your character has gone little more courage and little more strength it has got. So you grow with the difficulties, provided your attitude is the right one. One must never grudge the difficulties. They are the challenges which the divine is throwing at you to improve yourself, to become better and stronger, not weaker. Okay, so I go to the next sentence. It lifts the being, the psychic being. It lifts the being towards a transcendent ecstasy, not pleasure, not ananda. Ananda is ecstasy, okay, but not ordinary joy. Ordinary joy can be also pure, but it's very mild. But ecstasy is absolutely, you feel the ecstasy even in fact, Sri Aurobindo says that the ananda that is there are so many different types of anandas, okay? It's not only one. There is a Vaidyuta Ananda. You feel like an electric current is going on in you. Vaidyuta Ananda. Okay? Ahaituka Ananda, without any cause. Ahaituka Ananda. Then Haituka Ananda also is interesting. Something can cause. Yeah? There's a cause to it. I'm giving a very simple example. Suppose you are walking and you are in that consciousness where the divine is all the time with you, and you are not very conscious of the physical world. Your hand actually, let us say, hits a table or the door. Then there'll be a thrill. That knock will give you a thrill at the physical level. So that is the Haituka Ananda. Then Raudra Ananda, very intense, powerful Ananda. All these different types of things are there in the Ananda. He speaks of Vaidyut Ananda. Okay? Then Ananda of light, Ananda of love. There are so many different types of Anandas. Right? So it lifts the being towards the transcendent ecstasy and is ready to shed all the downward pull of the world from its wings in its uprising to reach the one highest. But it calls down also the transcendent love and beatitude to deliver and transform this world of hatred and strife and division and darkness and jarring ignorance. Okay, I'll tell something now, but it should not be misinterpreted. Okay, in the mother, okay, Sri Aurobindo says that divine love is the most powerful, and it has not yet come down because the human beings are not ready yet. But one day in the Wednesday class, mother said she has descended. Okay, so you can interpret as you want, but maybe part of it. Okay, it may not be the full thing, but a part of it is this, this Ananda Mahima, where, that, not Ananda Mahima, sorry, Amrita Ananda Mahima in Kerala. You heard of her surely. If you see her videos when she's going to the West in America and all over Europe she goes, when she hugs people, they start crying. Not one, almost everybody, they feel something. She is exuding. I'm not saying that what mother has said about her, but this is what happens to her. So the love aspect is most intense. Okay, so, yeah, most intense. So, it opens to a universal divine love, a vast compassion, an intense and immense will for the good of all. The Gita uses the Sarva Bhuta Hite Rata. You are engaged in the good of all. Okay, so Sri Aurobindo is using this will for the good of all is again a Gita expression. For the embrace of the world mother, enveloping and gathering to her children, the divine passion that has plunged into the night for the redemption of the world from the universal inconscience. Now, just point out one thing also about Sri Aurobindo's use of language. Very often he repeats the word like that, okay? That is very common, Sri Aurobindo says. It is true that love can descend, okay? I am giving an example. But here also he is repeating the word her, okay? It's quite common. Many people don't do that. But Sri Aurobindo does it quite common. Enveloping, gathering to her children, okay? The divine passion of the world from the universal inconscience. It is not attracted, the psychic, not attracted or misled by mental imitations or any vital misuse of these great, deep-seated truths of existence. It exposes them with the detecting search ray and calls down the entire truth of divine love to heal these malformations. Now, this is a phrase which mother uses very often. She says it's like a torchlight. The psychic, when it comes forward, it throws the light into the darkest corners of the human nature. Okay, these forces which are there, they hide actually. Your love and your jealousy, they will hide and put on the cloak. See, you may dislike somebody, but it will clothe itself in a very self-deceptive manner. Okay, you will give all sorts of reasons for your not liking a particular person. But this searchlight, this psychic is like a searchlight. This is mother's image. She uses always. Okay, she says, turn the searchlight on the darkest corners. In every corner, something is lurking. Okay, that it exposes the psychic being. You can't cheat the psychic being. The psychic being will reveal the truth to you with his detecting surgery and calls down the entire truth of divine love to heal these malformations, to deliver mental, vital, physical love with their insufficiencies or their perversions and reveal to them their true abounding share of the intimacy and oneness, the ascending ecstasy and the descending rapture. There is a very interesting incident here. I just want to tell you that. Okay, so I reading that place where he said, the detecting sorcery and calls down the entire truth of divine love to heal these malformations. Okay, so to heal malformations. There is a very interesting incident with Nishikanto. Nishikanto was a poet, okay, and he was a very high quality of poet. Srimdo was absolutely, he used to praise him like anything. Okay. Now this, and he was a very greedy fellow. He was a poet as well as an artist. He used to do a lot of paintings. So he was to be very often ill because he used to eat more than he should, and he used to cook also, and he used to cook on a stove. And when this was reported to Srimdo, Srimdo said, take away his stove because he used to constantly fall ill. So to discourage him from cooking, Srimdo said, take away the stove that he has in his room. So one day when he was ill, he was brought on a stretcher in the meditation hall. Okay? And he was brought in a stretcher, and mother came down the staircase. You know, in the meditation hall where that picture is there, behind that big picture there is a staircase. So mother came down, and Nishikanto, we used to call him Kobi. Kobi means poet. Kavi in our other languages, in Bengali, Kobi. Okay. So he told mother, mother, put your foot on my chest. Okay. And she did that. And he felt a cool sensation entering his body. And when Nirada was telling this story, he remembered the line from Savitri. Okay. And it's so apt here. To heal with her feet the aching throb of life. So just remember that line and how it is fitting in here. No? He's saying, and calls down the entire truth of divine love to heal these malformations, to deliver mental, vital, physical love from their insufficiencies or their perversions, and reveal to them their true abounding share of the intimacy and the oneness, the ascending ecstasy and the descending rapture. So this is in Srimdo Yoga, you go up first, deny the body, mind, life, go up, get the higher consciousness, and then make an effort to bring it down again into the, so there is an ascending ecstasy and a descending rapture. So that's the big and one of the best explanations of the psychic emergence in this paragraph. So, shall we go to the next? We have got 5 minutes. We can read the next one. All true truth of love. Okay. In fact, it's very small. It's the end of the chapter. Okay. So let's read it. All true truth of love. Pallavi, you are ready now? If you are, you can. Oh, she's not even there. Oh, no, she's there. She's there. Sorry.
I can read, Rangada.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All true truths of love. All true truths of love and of the works of love, the psychic being accepts in their place. But its flame mounts always upward, and it is eager to push the ascent from lesser to higher degrees of truth. Since it knows that only by the ascent to a highest truth and the descent of that highest truth can love be delivered from the cross and placed upon the throne. For the cross is the sign of the divine descent, barred and marred by the transversal line of a cosmic deformation which turns life into a state of suffering and misfortune. Only by the ascent to the original truth can the deformation be healed, and all the works of love, as to all the works of knowledge and of life, be restored to a divine significance and become part of an integral spiritual existence.
Yeah. It's a very small para, but also very interesting. For all true truth. Okay, and then you will also see that there is a gradation. There is a true truth, there is a half truth, there is a 3/4 truth, and there is a true truth. Okay, so again we come back to the idea of the gradation. So all these words reveal to you very clearly the gradation that is there. So you can remember the gradation of love and the works of love, the psychic being accepts in their place. Okay, whatever is there, in their place it accepts. There is an element of truth in all love, even human love. There is an element of truth, although it is full of egoism and demands. Yet it accepts and purifies them. It doesn't reject, but its flame mounts always upward, and it is eager to push the ascent from lesser to higher degrees of truth. Again, the gradation. So all these words immediately make you realize that there is a gradation from lesser to higher degrees of truth. Since it knows that only by the ascent to the highest truth and the descent of that highest truth can love be delivered from the cross and placed upon the throne. Now, again, the image of Christ, okay, the cross, and placed upon the throne, because he was talking about the kingdom of God. So he was completely misunderstood. Christ was speaking about the kingdom of God on earth, and they thought that he wants to be king, okay, and they actually crucified him. They had a court, and in that court, Pontius Pilate, okay, he actually he didn't want to judge him. He said, I wash my hands of the case. But the others were, and they put him on the cross and crucified him. Now, the cross is a sign of the divine descent. Sridhar explained this elsewhere. The vertical piece of wood is a divine descent, and the transversal, the piece of wood, is the resistance, the obstruction that the human beings and the physical world offers to the descent of the divine. This is the symbol. The cross is the sign of the divine descent, barred and marred by the transversal line. Transversal, the horizontal line which cuts it at 90 degrees, the vertical line of a cosmic deformation which turns it into a stake of suffering. The stake is a wooden post to which you are tied. Okay? Usually an animal is tied to a stake, but your suffering can also be taken as an image of the stake. Okay? You are tied to it. There is no escape from it. Stake of suffering and misfortune. Only by the ascent to the original truth, again, original truth. There is a secondary truth and even a tertiary truth. Okay, so can the deformation be healed and all the works of love, as too all the works of knowledge and of life, be restored to a divine significance and become part of an integral spiritual existence. So the psychic being coming forward is a huge experience. That's what he is saying. So that completes the chapter also. And the next we can go to chapter 6, the ascent of the sacrifice, the second chapter, the works of love and the works of life. Okay? So, in the chapter that we have just read, it is the works of knowledge, okay, Jnana Yoga. Now, in this paragraph that we will be reading in this chapter, the works of love, Bhakti Yoga, and the works of life, Karma Yoga. Okay? And the idea of sacrifice, yajna, is applied to both the paths. In the works of love, Bhakti Yoga, what is the sacrifice to be made? In the Karma Yoga, what is the sacrifice to be made? This is the next one. So, we'll take this up next Tuesday. Okay? Bye everybody.
Thank you, Rangada.
Okay.
Thank you, Rangada.
Have a nice day, all of you.